OK, let's just talk briefly about these issues off the pitch that have cropped up in Clare in the last couple of days. And for those who are not entirely familiar with the situation, two players dropped off the panel for disciplinary reasons. One of them made comments saying that he had been humiliated by Davy Fitzdavies. I heard they responded to that. We don't know exactly what happened within the Clare panel.
Were they dropped or did they walk? Or I believe they
were disciplined and then they walked. I think
they were disciplined and they walked themselves.
Yeah.
We're in a different era, Michael. I mean, they're grown adults, you know, and sometimes you've got to treat players as grown adults as well. But there's the other side of it as well. If there is a team discipline ethos within the group and they set their standards at the start of the year, anybody breaches, you might get one opportunity and you go. And if there's a second breach, you're gone then at that stage. What bothers me about this is if the article with Davy O'Halloran is to be correct about maybe the humiliation of the training regime and that he has to train on his own, he's not allowed to wear the Clare training gear, he's no longer part of the setup. I think you're better off just getting rid of him. If he has breached, just get rid of him. Don't be bringing him back on the basis and try and do that to a player, you know. And there are standards there, right? To me, there's been no reaction from any of the group of players that are there, right?
Sure,
so,
yes,
you know, so if there's people that want to back up those two players, I'm sure you'll hear something shortly. But if they're out of order, you're not going to hear anything. That'll be the end of it. The players want to get on, and it's not about one individual. It's about the team, and if the team feel this is the correct decision, you've got to drive on.
Of course, just one thing about it is things like if you're being disciplined or reprimanded, not being allowed to wear the team gear or be at the train and talk to the other players and train, blah blah blah, and all this kind of stuff, which sounds harsh. Brendan, when you were playing, was there anything like that in Tipperary? How did you deal with things like that?
Yeah, panels sit down at the start of the year, and they always want to have their team for the year, and the first one was always going to be discipline. So it's driven by the players. So sometimes there's different shapes it can take. One is that players would sign this code of conduct, knowing that once that's signed, then that's given the manager the authority. We're all a community here. We're all a family is the word we always try to use, right?
And once you've got that back in our day, we wouldn't make the first match.
This is modern hurling.
That's a long time ago. All right, OK, I give up.
But then once that's breached, Davy now is in a situation where he's the gatekeeper. Now, I would turn it the other way. I'd say if a player takes his punishment on the chin, he goes outside, he wears the string vest or whatever he has to wear while training is going on, he reintegrates into panel 3 weeks later. The effect that player has when he comes back is massive. It bonds the team and sets you up for the championship. Now what's happened is Davy's fielding questions. The player, in case has to go nearly to media school to find out all the phone calls he's going to be getting about this. But in fairness, on the pitch, Clare produced the goods.
And they did produce the goods. The most important thing was the results, and they got the results yesterday. 14 against 15 was
as John Mullane of Waterford put it all those years ago, you do the crime, you do the time.